Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September 2nd meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. I have to wish my niece, Wendy, a happy birthday this morning. I'm going to be reading in Ecclesiastes 1, verses 3 through 14. It's actually, Solomon said this, and Solomon's the one that said, split the baby. And I know you guys have used that term lots of times, I've heard, so he's has a lot of wisdom. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do people really get for all their hard work? I have seen the burden God has placed on us all, yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart, but even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. So I concluded that there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can, and people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labor, for these are gifts from God. Amen. I know it was kind of longer than usual, but it was good.
Come here.
I know.
We could have invited Judge Moraldi to bring his guitar, and you could have sung it.
Yeah, there you go. From the what?
Come here.
No, that's actually in the Bible.
Look that way. Yeah. Oh, hi there. Yes. Our featured dog this week is a 3-year-old female blue tick hound. She's available for adoption right now. She's got a great personality. She was found in Lorain. I mean, just a great dog. She'll make a great pet for somebody. We currently have 27 dogs. It's been a busy summer. So if she's not quite your kind, stop down. I'm sure we've got a dog for your family. Good hunting dog, huh?
Mm-hmm. Seen we had bids go out for the fencing for the dog kennel to do some more
Tim's
enclosures.
been working on that since for a while. It takes some time to get people to quote. Some people don't want to quote, and it just came through for the new gates and the dividers. I think it's going to really enhance the area out there for walking the dogs. By the way, we fail to recognize that. I am so happy Tim's here because I have so few dog problems these days. Don't get embarrassed, Tim. I mean, for years it was always a bit of a problem, and Tim's done a great job out there, and the facility continues to evolve further and further. So we're looking forward to being able to have the volunteers have better places to tend to dogs, and it's just one of the many improvements we'll be making.
As a matter of fact, Saturday, watched part of the commissioners meeting. At the end, we had a trailer, the old dog kennel trailer that we had for years and years, and I think it's time we updated that. We can maybe do that because it's outdated. We do so many more good things out there, the spay-neuter program and vaccinations and all that kind of stuff. So maybe if we can find it in the budget somewhere that we can do a little.
In fact, the budget's sitting on my desk for review, so we can have that conversation.
Cool, thanks. Thanks, Tim. Before we get started, it was already put out in the paper this morning from the Journal about Golden Acres. Mr. Cortez, you had sent out letters to the residents regarding the possible closing of the facility. I know we've talked on and off for a long time when we've been talking about personnel issues and how the home has been doing, and I was wondering if you want to give us an update as to how that is progressing.
I can, excuse me. I can certainly do that, Commissioner. Actually, I've been working on this administratively for quite a while. Because of the sensitivity of families, relatives, and their family members that are residents at the home, and that's to include the sensitivity with the employees, the union, and the services that still need to be provided in a 24/7 operation. I've tried to handle this with a very keen understanding that things had to happen and coalesce together at one time so that one group didn't find out before another group found out, and how I was going to handle the exodus of employees possibly, and the drawdown of residents at the county home. So I do have a plan in place. The union this morning, I had them, I told the union I was going to ask the board for a decision. I was going to bring it from the floor, and that they should prep their employees this morning. So they're meeting with them this morning, and I'll let them know after the board passes a resolution, because I think it's necessary for me to go any further to do that, to let them know that we're working on a closure package with the bargaining unit and the employees. And also, we're meeting this afternoon with the non-bargaining employees and discussing their options and what's going to happen with the non-bargaining employees. So this isn't as simple as closing the Twinkie factory. I have to deal with the slow reduction of residents there as we try to transition them into other facilities in Lorain County. And there's a lot of requirements with regard to how that is done and how that is achieved and what our job is there. Not to mention, I'm still waiting on state approval to close the home. I sent them a plan, told them why, what for, and how we wanted to do this, and I'm still waiting on the approval from that. I think it's going to be coming soon. I had wished that we didn't need to pass a resolution until we had that agreement from the state, but like most things, the air's starting to leak out of the tire here, and people are starting to talk about everything that's going on. Although I've tried as hard as I could to keep it in tight until we got everything done. The county home has continued to lose money. 2 years ago, we had a very long and lengthy process where we changed all the contract terms and conditions. I can't speak enough to the work that the Teamsters did with us in order to realign those contracts with some of the costs that we're experiencing that were keeping us from moving into a profitable status again. But a lot of things have happened even over the last 2 years, things that you can't anticipate. One was another additional reduction in the Medicaid reimbursement rate. Second one is that we've continued to see our census fall while other facilities have been built or expanded and offered greater amenities than we have. We've been challenged to keep the vacancy rate up. Right now, we're at about 40 residents. I need about 56 really to make the place viable and have money for capital improvements and things that are done. We actually have 79 beds, which 72 are usable. But if we were in the mid to upper 50s, we'd have a real viable operation. We just haven't been able to get the census to increase. Then things happen when you don't have money. The elevator broke. It's an old facility. It was almost all in $180,000 to fix the elevator. Got to have the elevator. So here I am, counting the pennies, trying to figure out, at least slow the burn rate, so we can bend that curve towards possibly a profitability. And when I say profitability, I'm talking about breaking even. And the elevator breaks, $180,000 out. And we've had several of those type of capital issues come up at the worst time for us. So we continue to lose ground on our reserves. I told you last year that when we got to a critical mass, I would inform you of that, and I did, beginning in February, tell you that I thought the time had come, that we needed to move in a different direction. I did not believe I was going to be able to push the pendulum over. As a bit of a history, in the early 2000s, we were losing a lot of money. We worked for 2 years to change the county home from a semi-skilled facility to a fully skilled facility. Once we went fully skilled, we were able to push the pendulum back into the profitability for a couple of years. We banked that money because nursing homes are cyclic. They rise and fall with how their vacancy rate is. Just haven't been able to get this one pushed over again. It's really stuck over in the red. I just don't see that changing anytime going forward, and we don't have enough reserves left where, given all the trailing cost and all the legacy costs that we're going to have to close the home, if we don't do it now, you're going to have to put it on life support from the general fund. And I know that's something the board told me they absolutely, positively wanted to avoid. So over the last few weeks, we've been having conversation individually. It's my consensus of how the board feels, and I've taken every administrative step possible to put us into alignment where you can make a decision today whether you want to go forward and continue to try to do something with the home or move towards closure. As hard as this is to say, I'm recommending closure. I've been working with the employees and staff out there since 1993. I don't say this very lightly. I know some of them a very long time. In fact, I negotiated my first labor contract and cut my teeth out there at the Golden Acres a long time ago. It's a really beautiful facility, but times have changed. And times have changed in many communities. Many counties, especially in the urbanized counties, have closed their nursing homes over the years. Some of them had a lot of assistance from the general fund, and when their general fund became ailing, they felt the necessity to close it as a tertiary service that was already being filled by the private sector. Remember, when county nursing homes came along, there wasn't a huge amount of private sector nursing homes in most communities. That has changed greatly over the decades. So the need to provide that service has decreased significantly. At the same time, the amenities offered at some of those private homes have changed the complete environment. And then lastly, let me point this out. The county nursing home has never received $1 of general fund money, ever, that I'm aware of.
Didn't it have a levy on it at one point?
It did, and that was one of the problems. The levy was allowed to lapse in 1994 or 5. And because the facility was very old, it's a historic building, and given the nature of it really needed, it was a very small levy, but it needed that little extra cash to make it work. But it is what it is. That was allowed to happen. I'm not sure that decision was the one that needed to be made at the time, but we are where we are today.
One of the questions the journal asked me yesterday was when it became a nursing home. Do you remember the date or what
Commissioner,
year?
I really don't know.
No.
The facility was originally designed as a tuberculosis
Right.
clinic. When that no longer had a need in most communities, and you'll see a lot of old tuberculosis hospitals in communities that have been converted to various different purposes. That's when that was converted. I will say that the county home started out on Murray Ridge Road where the jail is. And there's an old cemetery back there. The county home used to be the poor home. That's how that evolved. Went from the poorhouse to a residential facility. So I believe it's been as a county home. I don't know about Golden Acres, but as a county home, well over 100 years. But it's transformed into what it is today. It originally started out as the poorhouse, and there's like I said, very old cemetery back behind where the jail is today, and we have books going way back into those days about who was residents there and so forth.
That's in that book that you're writing, correct?
It's going to be in my archives when I leave. I probably sell about 3 copies.
Each commissioner will buy
Each
one.
commissioner will buy one. Just make sure you're not in there. This is going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. I hope that once we receive state approval, we'll have a 90-day window to undertake the process. I feel comfortable that we can. There's probably going to be some things along the way that I can't anticipate. I did tell the state we would take the 90 days. They require a 90-day notice. That's why I sent the letter out on Friday. I would hope that by Thanksgiving, though, that we had transitioned all the residents. I really like them to be in a different environment for the holidays so they can get acclimated and feel comfortable and get reintroduced into a community at a different facility, because that's going to be change is hard for folks that are in that environment. Some of our employees will need to continue past the holidays with us as we work on what we're going to do with the facility itself. And I will tell you, I'm also in discussions about selling our Medicaid beds. There's a big interest in that. In fact, I got another call this morning. Somebody read the paper, so we'll be working on how to dispose of the beds. Now, when I say the beds, let me make it clear so it's not misrepresented out there by somebody. We're not selling the facility right now. We're selling the Medicaid certified beds, and we did get our beds certified a couple of years ago when the state opened the window for certification. So we have about 79 certified beds that we're going to put on the market. Most people don't realize each community's bed is just a certain amount of beds. And purchasing them has quite a bit of value for folks that are opening new residential facilities in the community. And if we didn't close now, we got 2 new facilities opening. We got one opening in North Ridgeville within the next 3 years. We got another big one that's proposed, and I believe going to open over in Avon. They're really nice facilities from what I've seen. And we're just not going to be able to compete with that kind of facility.
Continuum of care nowadays is being pushed to staying at home is one.
Well, Commissioner, you're exactly right. The push from the state is to keep family members in the home as long as possible. I don't disagree with that philosophy. Quite frankly, I think it's an excellent philosophy. There is more than sufficient data that proves that the quality of life and the morbidity and mortality tables swing into the favor of the person that's being given care in the home. They tend to be happier, they tend to live a little longer, they tend to have a better quality of life, and at times the services are better because they have in-house visitations from nurses and folks that PTs, OTs, and then of course family is able to supplement that. Without that, the families just couldn't go it alone, and that's going to be a major push as we see an aging population become larger and larger. Institutional care is going to become less and less of the way we handle these things. Now, there's going to be plenty of folks that still need that. The market's still going to be strong for that, as you see with the Kendalls of Oberlin, the Waterfords. There's a beautiful facilities down by Medina. They're not stopping building those facilities. In fact, I think they're going to continue that trend.
But what they tend to do, Jim, is now it's the independent living, transitioning into
Right.
the assisted living, and then into the
It's
nursing home.
it's one-stop
final care.
shopping.
Right, so it's all taken care of, and they become part of a community. And that's not what government's doing at this point. We have a home that is just a home.
Commissioner, I'm not sure we belong in this business any
Right.
longer.
That was my
I think there was a point when we needed to provide an alternative, recognizing that 25 years ago we used to get private pays. We used to offer a lower cost option for those that were able to make a private pay. With the advent of the expansion of Medicaid and Medicare, most people qualify, and we haven't seen private pays in a long time. I just think that the private sector now has provided enough community service, and there's enough competition in the community to have reasonable costs that it's time for us to exit the market.
I would agree.
Yeah, this is, it's a difficult decision. It's one that we don't take lightly. It impacts a lot of people's lives, whether they're residents of our facility or whether they're our employees. And as the administrator pointed out, I can't thank the employees enough and their bargaining units for the strong effort they've made to work with us to keep us moving forward. But every once in a while you hit a crossroad where the economic realities, the drop-off in vendor reimbursements, and you see the reality of the marketplace, and we simply can't compete in this marketplace based upon the reimbursements that we're receiving as well, too. We're in a historic building. Doesn't really give us a lot of options to work with things there. Fortunately, in this county, we're blessed because the residents of the facility will have great quality options. There's probably a lot of counties that don't have the quality nursing homes and facilities that we do, so it'll be a smoother transition. But I know in speaking with the county administrator, He has been very sensitive to all parties involved, and we are committed to making this a smooth transition for our residents. We're going to work with them every step of the way to make sure it's a smooth transition. We want to make sure that they're in a new facility with their loved ones prior to the holidays, so that they can have some peace and calm and order in their life around the holidays. And we've just reached a crossroad where the reimbursements and the economic realities and the marketplace realities have hit us to the point where we can no longer sustain operating this facility. But I want to, commend my colleagues and the administrator for all that's been done over the years, and for the workers for all that they've done. We are going to be working closely with them too to make sure that they can hopefully find a soft landing. Fortunately, they're in the healthcare field, which is one of the strongest fields in demand. So the hope is that they will be able to find other opportunities, but we'll also be working closely with them to make this transition. It's going to be one of the most difficult decisions we'll have to make. But it's a decision where, unfortunately, based upon the economic factors in the marketplace, where it has to be made. And when you look at the numbers and you look at the future is not very bright, and we have to make this difficult decision today.
Do you have an actual resolution for us to?
No, I don't.
So it would be based on the approval of the state that we would?
And actually, if we need a formal resolution, we can do that on our next board meeting. I just need to have a public affirmation from all three of you that that's direction. I have spoken individually with you many times. I know where I believe you are all positioned at, but I don't have. We should acknowledge that position publicly from all three of you. The formal
I think the
resolution.
resolution isn't that difficult, Jim. It would just be a resolution in regards to concurrence with the state of Ohio to move forward with the closure of the Golden Acres Nursing Home. And
Well, I wouldn't say concurrent. I would just suggest that if we received state approval, that
upon receipt of state approval,
then we begin the process of closure.
because we wouldn't have one next week. Commissioner Lundy won't be here, and we're just doing the one in regards to the solid waste plan. So
On
I hate to have something in limbo in regards to our employees and the residents there.
And that's fine. However you want to proceed.
On approval.
Great. And,
Motion in regards to giving you authority upon the approval of the state of Ohio to move forward with.
Yeah, I'll need
the closure of
authority to
Golden
execute
Acres.
all the shutdown.
Right, and give the administrator such authority.
There's a lot of unknowns still going
Right,
forward.
well, this is something none of us have ever challenged. We spent years trying to keep the place open, again, with what the employees have done, the staff. Been a valiant effort, but again, it's just past its time for government to be in this type of service when there's so many other options out there that are, if not just competitive, but with a lot more amenities that we can offer, the private bathrooms and stuff. It's an old facility and it's seen its day at this point. So the quicker we move forward on this, I think the better off we are.
Well, we're burning money at a fast pace, so we don't have general fund money to subsidize.
Well,
Even
can
if we did, should we do that when there's private sector out there that could accommodate?
No, if we didn't run into all those capital needs unexpectedly, we probably would have a little bit more fuel in the tank, but I just don't see it changing.
Teresa, does that give you enough for a resolution?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to support that.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Let's move on to our resolutions.
Under number 1, investments,
So moved.
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Appropriations,
So moved.
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Transfers,
So moved.
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions,
So moved.
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Travel,
So moved.
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Bills,
So moved.
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorraine County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez?
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. As sad as this is to say, I do have a potential new hire at Golden Acres I want to talk about. We still need employees over the next 3 or 4 months as we do this, and it's actually a part-time hire. They may not even want to come over now, but we need to talk about that. And I do need to talk to you about the ongoing labor negotiations with the Teamsters with regards to the closure, because there's certain things that we need to do under the contract with respect to the employees. Also, potential sale and purchase of real estate. All 3 topics allowed under the Sunshine Act. For executive session discussion, I ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, we go into executive session, we talk about those 3 issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of August 26th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Advertise bids for Juvenile Detention Center parking lot repairs and pavement placement project and Job and Family Services drainage improvement, parking lot repairs and pavement replacement. Notice being the Chronicle on September 7th and 14th and open at 2 p.m. on September 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Commissioners, just for a moment, these are all being handled under our capital bond. Hopefully, by the end of this year, we'll be completed that, and we'll go out from, I shouldn't say capital bonds, construction improvement notes to permanent financing. Want to point out again, I'm going to take every opportunity to, we're borrowing somebody's future to pay for needs today. All the years I've been here, we've never borrowed money for these type of repairs. These have always been planned over a 2 or 3 year period. We've always put money aside for them to make these repairs. We no longer have that capability, and this bond's probably going to end up being about $3 million that's going to have to be paid for down the road. And while we're paying for that, other capital needs will raise up and have to be dealt with. So at least the public think that we have all this money to do all this work. We're leveraging the future here. Sorry, but I just got to keep
That's okay.
reminding folks of that.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under Community Development, amend Resolution 15476 adopted July 29th, awarding contract to J.D. Indoor Comfort in the amount of $3,914.57 for Danny and Ashley Payne to receive grant assistance to install a furnace. Said amendment is to reflect the correct account number should have been CHIP CDBG, not CHIP Program Year 14 Home Repair.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Award various contracts for homeowners to receive grant assistance from CHIP Program Year 14 Home Repair Activity, which includes a contingency for any unforeseen change orders, these being the most responsive. 1, Concrete and More, Inc., Avon Lake, in the amount of $4,400 for James and Carrie Carpenter at 854 Robert Street, Sheffield Lake, and it's only for the sanitary lateral replacement, not the porch handrails. 18 invitations were sent and will be paid from the CHIP OHTF home repair account. 2, JD Indoor Comfort, Sheffield, in the amount of $4,941.35 for Margaret Christina at 244 East Lorain Street, Oberlin, for a furnace replacement, treads and risers and handrails. 27 invitations were sent and will be paid from CHIP CDBG home repair.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under Job and Family, authorized purchase service agreements for Title 20 Social Service Block Grant funded services for fiscal year 16 effective October 1st, 2015 through September 30th, 2016, and authorized director to execute and amend for changes in program and content and increase on behalf of the board. Lorain County General Health District Elyria for health-related and home health services in the amount not to exceed $10,000. And then volunteer guardianship program in Lorain County, Elyria for adult guardianship services in amount not to exceed $9,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under Common Pleas, approve grant agreement with Ohio Department of Rehab and Correction, Division of Parole and Community Services, Bureau of Community Sanctions Probation, Improvement and Incentive Grant in the amount of $230,003, effective July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under the engineer, advertise bids for Lear Nagle Road Widening Project, North Ridgeville. Notice being the Chronicle on September 11th, 18th, and 25th, and open at 3 p.m. on October 15th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
You'll be glad when that gets taken care of, huh, Mr. Cordez?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You know, it's just, yes.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Approve and enter in contract with ODOT for improvement in the intersection of Boone Road and State Route 82, Columbia Township. This project consists of widening State Route 82 to include dedicated left turn lanes and realign Township Road 130 Boone Road to align north and south legs, replace culverts on east leg of State Route 82, drainage, traffic control, installation of traffic signals. Local share is approximately $142,310, $100,000 from OPWC and balance from ODOT District 3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Approve and enter an agreement on cooperation with the Huron County Commissioners to replace a failing culvert on Green Road located in townships of Camden and Wakeman. This replacement and future maintenance will be performed by utilizing the Highway Department staff of both counties.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the Sheriff, grant sole ownership of K-9 Duco to Deputy Jason Zebick. K-9 Duco has been serving the Sheriff's Office for 7 years, and due to his age and performing daily activities, he will retire. He actually retired yesterday, 2015, not 14. Deputy Zebick will release all claims and agreement to identify as a cost of $1.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Receive and file the annual report submitted by Lorain County Sheriff of all fines and costs collected by the Sheriff's Office in the amount of $316,525.27 for the year not preceding September 1st, 2015, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 311.16.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. As Commissioner Kalo indicated on the Lear Nagle construction up there, it's made the traffic even worse while they're fixing the road, and it's not even going to be widened until next year. But most people in Lorain County don't get to see the traffic down there. They see the congestion on the off ramps on 83 and 611, and but I can tell you the flood of traffic coming out of the Turnpike and 480 and down that way through that corner of North Ridgeville is simply amazing. Until I was living down that area, I didn't realize how many folks were coming through that corridor down there, and it grows all the time. Hopefully one day when we have a really great transit system, because I know we're going to get there, and we'll have a parking right down in that area, because I think we can get rid of a lot of the congestion by having public transportation out of that area down into downtown Cleveland, and it's where we could hook up with the RTA. I mean, that's part of the vision if we ever are able to get enough matching money. I was reading something from the state of Ohio, and I think it came through CCO, where they were trying to get the aviation fuel tax moved over and to be used to work on the airports. Another one of our struggling orphans that somehow ended up on our doorstep and needed nurturing decades ago. I didn't realize, and I probably should have investigated, but that the aviation fuel tax goes into the state's general revenue accounts. And it's not actually used for work on the airports, unlike the motor vehicle gas tax that is dedicated back to vis-a-vis ODOT for roads, road improvement and such type of work. I think that's something we need to work with them on and continue to pressure them on. My understanding is about $5 million a year that goes into the general fund that really should be returning to improve the infrastructure, because, as it was pointed out, for lack of a penny, we're missing 9 cents.
Right.
That's what the match is with the FAA. For every penny we can get, they'll give us 9 cents for work that we need to do. I sure like to have that tax back from the aviation fuel tax. And we should look at that. And it's the same thing with public transportation, as Commissioner Lundy's been spearheading some community efforts in that. There's no reason why we're not getting money back from ODOT to put in Parker rides, and also get our match money back from the FAA. It's not as generous as the airport money, although we can get operating money from the FTA. We cannot get operating money from the FAA. We usually get brick and mortar and improvement funds. But either pool is money that belongs to Lorain County, because we pay into that pool vis-a-vis our taxes. And right now, we're just not getting enough of it back. We need the state to help us with some local match monies in both those areas. I'll leave it go with that. But I think we need to continue to remind the public as best we can about these issues all the time. Thank you.
Mr. Innes?
I would ask to have an executive session over a couple of imminent litigation issues.
Commissioners report.
The Lorain County Solid Waste Department is having an agricultural tire center, tire collection at our Lorain County Collection Center, and it is at 540 South Abbey Road in Elyria on Thursday, September 24th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. You have to register by Thursday, September 17th if you're going to be bringing any of those big tires down there, and the number that you need to call is 1-800-449-5463 or 440-328-2368. And you need to register the size and quantity and present a driver's license to verify your proof of residency that you do live in Lorain County. Monday I had my Goodwill Board meeting, and I just want to remind everybody that I do have tickets if you guys want. We are having our second fundraiser, and it's going to be at Rosewood Place at 4493 Oberlin Avenue in Lorain. Tickets are $35. It's going to be a casino night. The $35 tickets are for heavy hors d'oeuvres, one drink ticket, and $10 in gambling money. So I think we're going to have a nice trip. Maybe a big screen
Can I
TV.
convert to $10 into 10
Sure, that's what you want to do.
What date, Commissioner?
It is October the 3rd. It's a Saturday, starts at 6 o'clock. So if you're interested, let me know. I've got tickets.
I'll be in Italy.
You'll be in Italy? Oh, well, you're just going to have to pass up that Italy trip for this. Just kidding. End of my report. Thank you.
Yeah, busy week. Lorain County Fair, again, all week. I'd like to thank Amanda Tuggle. I didn't quite make it. I was talking to a constituent. I missed the bidding at the beginning, so I didn't end up with the reserve lamb or the grand champion this year. So, but I did buy a lamb from Amanda Tuggle, young lady from Amherst. Her and her family were very nice. Also, Team Lorain County Executive Board met on Friday, going over our issues and talking about what was going to be on the board agenda for the Tuesday meeting. Tuesday meeting was a lot of robust dialogue, huh? Mr. Cordes discussing the issues moving forward with the realignment of Team NEO and responsibilities of Team Lorain County as such.
I think there was better dialogue than we've had in a little bit of time, and I'm hopeful that dialogue will produce some outcome that reinvigorates our process with how we want to move forward with the united front. But I would suggest that we still have a long way to go to figure out and get a clear line of sight to who's going to do what, how it's going to be done, and how we're going to do it together.
Right, those are the expectations over the next 3 months, so that's what we'll be working on. And I mean, there is a role for them to play. It's different than what it was in the past, where we started out as they were the attraction piece. Attraction has since been, pushed to the back burner, and now they
The attraction piece is a lot of fun if you like to travel. If you like to go to the trade shows in Chicago and Las Vegas, and sometimes have them overseas. That's a really lot of fun if you're the right kind of person that enjoys that. But it's a very non-glamorous job, because for every 1,000 contacts you make, you may get a couple phone calls, and out of those couple phone calls, you may just hook one.
Right.
It's a really hard field to be in, because you can't really measure your success, and that's unfortunate. But there's a feeling that the attraction piece is not as important as the retention and expansion and grow your own type strategy.
And that's from the state's Jobs Ohio pushing that down to Team NEO, to Team Lorain County, that they need to change their focus.
Correct.
It's not necessarily a local, because it was still talked about a lot as attraction being an important piece.
Somebody needs to be doing the attraction piece for Northeast Ohio. But the general consensus has been, and it was before they started the Team NEO attraction piece, companies hire people to go out and scout locations.
Site selectors.
To say that we have to be out there all the time in their face, I can tell you that when Boeing was leaving Seattle, what was it, a decade and a half ago, it wasn't because Chicago was over in Seattle trying to steal Boeing. Boeing already knew what their plans were, and they were making their own scouting, and a lot of that's done. So do we really need people out there in a lot of those things? I don't think so. But we need to have materials and things
Right.
prepped and ready. And the key is what facilities are available, what lands are available, what utilities are on those lands. Where is their rail? Where is their sewers? Where is their water infrastructures? Whenever we see business, those are the things they want to know about.
Right.
And we've yet to do a company look when they've been here, that those haven't been the things they wanted first. And secondly, you want to know about a trained and ready workforce. They want to know about the availability of employees. They want to know about availability of educational opportunities for their employees.
Public transportation.
Public
came into the
transportation's
lead.
another one.
Real big
Okay.
in two of the leads.
So, those are all the things we're talking about, how to align all of those things into a package so that we're not all stepping on each other's feet at the same time.
So, but again, very good dialogue, so we'll be moving forward. December will be our next quarterly board meeting as a full board.
You're the vice chair, right?
Yes, I.
Okay.
That's the end of my report.
I want to congratulate the Fair Board again for running a successful fair this year. I'd like to thank our staff that manned the booths out there, the various departments, to educate people about county government. As I found out when I was a state rep, the public needs to find out more about what we do in Columbus, and now I'm finding out as a commissioner, the public needs to be better educated on what we do in county government. And so I want to thank our staff, our various departments that were out there manning the information tables throughout the course of the week. Thankfully, we had very comfortable weather, so we weren't sitting in a tent sweating or manning the lifeboats with the tent flooding out from rain. So it went very well. Also for the 4-H'ers, I'd like to commend them. I know we received several letters leading up to the fair with folks auctioning off their respective animals there, and I tried to inform them that the Donald Trump of Lorain County would be out there buying
Not quite.
at
My
the
name's not
auction.
Joe Cole.
So, also wanted to point out that I hope you'll be in attendance for the Cleveland Pops Orchestra performance that's taking place this Saturday. It's really one of the true highlight events each year where the Pops Orchestra plays in front of our courthouse. That'll be at 7 o'clock on Saturday. My understanding is that if there's rain, they will reschedule it for Sunday, same time, and hopefully close to the same location, but they're encouraging people to listen to WEOL radio if there's a rain out on what the alternate location will be.
How many people usually attend that?
It's a good turnout.
Because, we
Yeah.
could, in the future, just as a thought you may want to suggest to them, if they rain down on the courthouse steps, we could always put them under cover down by the transportation center. And it
that's-
could be whether it rains or not, just whatever the location, and it's within walking distance.
Right.
And we're all covered down there under the portico.
I think their alternate location in the past had been the community college. I think they went over to Spitzer, if I
Wasn't
remember
Lorain High
correctly.
School?
It may have been the high
I
school.
thought it was the high
Yeah,
school they
yeah.
moved it to.
Maybe I
That
got
was
it
their
confused
alternate
with another
location.
event. But, so that's coming up Saturday, but that's just really, wow, it's just a great event to be there for. And I want to thank our clerk, Teresa, was going through public records and found an interesting letter. Colleagues, you might be interested in this, dated March 31st, 1994, when the then county administrator told a candidate for county commissioner that he could not have access to the Cook Building to take a tour.
Well, I remember
thought
you
that
back
was-
in those days. You were quite the tear.
Geez, I wasn't allowed in the building. Now I can walk in the building. It took me 20 years to get permission, so
Didn't you wear
still don't want me in the building.
Didn't you stand on the corner like a billboard on?
Yeah, trying to sell the building at the time.
It was over the big ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it brought back a lot of memories, interesting memories. So,
Told you I have a lot of secrets.
Was
You
that?
do.
Were you running against Betty Blair at that time?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
we're friends. That's it for my report.
Next Tuesday at 9:30, we'll have our commissioners meeting. We will not be meeting on Wednesday. Board correspondence.
I move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Public comment.
Seeing none, I move we go into executive session as outlined by the administrator and assistant county prosecutor.
Second.
Oh, did you want to
Oh.
speak? Oh, come on up. I'm sorry. Just let us know your name and where you're from.
Yes. My name is Shannon Perry.
Shannon, would you just
Pull
pull
the
the
mic
mic down,
down
please?
towards you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Are we good?
Okay.
Okay, my name is Shannon Perry. I live in Lorain, and I wanted to talk about the transportation program through the Job and Family Services. I am one of the people that does participate in that program. I think I've been participating for about a year now, and then I got a letter stating October 1st, you guys were ending the program, that you're going to go with contracts for, other, places that actually will provide the actual transportation versus me doing it myself for my son. And I think that maybe you guys should take a step back first and actually look at what some of the people on the program are. I have a 3-year-old little boy. He just turned 3 2 weeks ago. He is autistic. He has OSA. He has a undefined GI problem. He has a lot of physical and mental delays. He has very severe sensory issues, and I'm sorry, but when I talk about my son, I get upset. But to give you an example, yesterday I took my son to Cleveland, and we go to Rainbow's Hospital, we go to a feeding clinic, and my son used to have a tube in his face, and I fed him that way. I've worked very hard with my son from day one, trying to get him to where he is now. And he's actually able to drink regular liquids without them being thickened. And now we're working on chewing. My son, I say it's lazy because I have a great sense of humor when it comes to my son's medical problems. He's not chewing his food, he's just swallowing, which causes aspiration. He is diagnosed with aspiration as poor swallowing coordination. What the hospital is doing with me right now is I am a nurse, that is my background. I currently do not work, my full-time job is taking care of my son. They are teaching me how to teach him how to eat. So yesterday, when I provided this ride for my child to Cleveland, my vehicle, which is not fancy, it's an 02 Jeep Cherokee Laredo with about 165,000 miles on it, but I keep it maintained the best I can. My vehicle is a kitchen and a playroom on wheels. And I say that because when I take my son to Cleveland, I have a cooler, and I have to bring all of his food, and all of this can be verified through his doctors. So not only am I packing up all this food to take to this appointment so they can show me what we eat and show him how to, show me to how to help feed him so that he's chewing, digesting these foods. Not only is he not aspirating, but he'll hopefully help his GI problems. I said my son is autistic. When I say my son is autistic, I paid my neighbor a few months ago to disconnect every speaker in my vehicle other than my son's door speaker because of his severe autism. We have headphones, we have a weighted vest, we do so many orthopedic things, not just orthopedic with the braces, but so many sensory things. When I was driving him to Cleveland yesterday, my son, and this is being recorded so I don't want to do it, but he was turned in his car seat, trying to eat his car seat, and it's very imitating to what a seizure would be. When my son gets around other people, he very much acts out. He's autistic, is what he is. And I don't know if you guys have been around an autistic kid or have been able to see them at their high moment. That's what he does. So when I provide the transportation for my son, I have control of my car. I have control of the climate. I have control of my surroundings. If I've pulled over numerous times on the highway to let semis pass or, motorcycles with the loud mufflers, to let them go past us so that my son is not back there covering his ears, doing his thing. It also gives me control of his autism. I'm able to walk my son into a huge place like Rainbow's Hospital. Just the parking lot is our first struggle. We're in this huge parking garage, there's tires squealing, there's horns beeping, people setting the alarms. That is the huge trigger for my son, and I am keeping it completely under control. Not only am I carrying half of my home with me, my kitchen and my on-the-go, play area for him, I have control of this child, I get him into the hospital, I get him to his appointment, and 90% of the time the people say, wow, he's autistic? And I say, yeah. Where? I said, that's because I have been able to control this the whole time. Now, we have taken a cab, and I have tried the transportation one time in the past 2 years. The life care vans are very noisy. I don't know if you've ever rode on one before. Extremely noisy. You can hear where the wheelchair, they link the wheelchairs and strap them in. It's nothing but ching, 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 ching the whole time. The wind is going by. I have a driver who is listening to what he wants to listen to. My car is not anything for me. I play the sensory, CDs and things like that to help control my son because I know what my situation is going to be. So I'm asking that you guys, I'm up for everything. I have called Mr. King and spoke with him, and I did speak with somebody, Lori? Is that maybe possibly her first name? I spoke with her, I believe it was last month, when asking how I can help better this program so that it is not eliminated. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, I get a letter saying the program's eliminated. I have a lot of concerns. I can show you on my calendar with my son having multiple problems. 2 weeks ago, I was in Avon Lake at Dr. Wenzel's at 9:15. Then at 10 o'clock, I was in Amherst at the Mercy Rec Center for playgroup. Then I rushed my son home, gave him lunch, and I was at the sleep disorder doctor at 1 o'clock in Cleveland. Now, I understand you guys were saying it was, cost efficient, to cut the program and to enter into contracts with other providers. Looking at that, I don't want to talk about the budget because that's not my concern, but when I do appointments like that, and that is how my everyday goes, to me, I'm the type of person that we have so many appointments and so many problems, you would probably just have to buy me my own escort company so that I have that available there because we do so much running and have so many problems to take care of at one time. And I'm not only concerned about my son's, safety with going, when we go and take sleep study tests in Cleveland, I pack my car up the night before. I have to have his toys. I have to have his pillow. I have to make it his surrounding as much as possible so that way when they hook him up to those 27 leads, my child's not pulling them all off, and we all have a great night, and they're always so amazed. And this is something that I have worked my butt off. His doctors, everybody, therapists, every time I come in contact with them, they praise me on my job. And sometimes I don't even like it because I'm a mom and that's what I'm supposed to do. But I feel by forcing my child into one of the life care vans or even a private, vehicle that I don't have control over it, autism is not my son's number one problem and it will not be. I feel you're gonna have him backslide. We're gonna start going back to our head banging, or just the things that my son does. And I've worked very hard to teach my son, when he's overwhelmed, how to control that. And I really think this is going to backslide. But like I said, I'm willing to try it. I definitely am. But I think you guys should look to the people that you're taking it from. I can see an older gentleman, that has to go to a dialysis appointment. Somebody who has lived their whole life, has had, who knows how to accept what is around them. When I have a 3-year-old who can't think for himself, and no matter what I tell him, he's not going to understand, I don't want to say it's going to make my job harder because I can care less. He's my child, and I'll keep doing what I have to do. I'm running out of creative ways to help my child go further in life, is what I'm saying.
Take it under consideration
Yeah.
at this point, so we can see what the entire program's doing, ma'am.
Yeah, I just really wish you guys.
Do you go every day? Or is it every day?
Yeah, actually we do. Would you like to see my calendar?
No, well, just tell me. You just go
It's-
every day to Cleveland and back?
No, well, yesterday when we went, she did want to see my son every week because of the severity of him not chewing. He also has a cranial issue, which is why he has a sleep apnea. The jaw is dropping back. They want to do the surgery, and I'm like, no, let's postpone that. So I told her I can probably figure out how to come every 2 weeks, and I think that'll give me more time to work with him because he is a handful. I don't think I could teach him something in 7 days. So we will start to go every 2 weeks to the Cleveland Clinic, but we do have revolving appointments. We go to therapy, speech, OT at CDC, Children's Developmental Center, and I do those every Tuesday and Wednesday. And we kind of have majority of our appointments under control, 100%. I mean, at one time they got out of hand where all the doctors wanted to see him, but in 2 weeks I do have to take him back to Cleveland to the genetic doctor, because they believe with my son's liver biopsy and everything that they've done to him, that he might have a mitochondrial or a metabolic disease. So it's going to be a little bit more invasive and, things like that. And by no means, I've spoken with Ms. Ford, I've spoken with Mr. King, and I believe it was Lori was her first name, and they all know of me because of Ms. Ford, that she has talked, so highly of me, I guess, and that, that she has personally met me, is what she said, and that she felt that this program is, I understand you have people that abuse it.
That's
And
exactly right.
I am willing to help with any idea. Can we do something with maybe the provider, the doctors sign a card for us, or we have a swipe card?
Your situation is a bit more unique
Yeah.
than
Most
most
of them.
people
Majority
that
of the
we're
people
dealing
using
with.
that program.
Be patient for the next few days. We'll take a look at your situation. Unfortunately, I'm the one crafting the program for the board.
Right. So the criteria is going to have
the-
to be looked at as to who does or doesn't, I would think.
I think you have made some points that need to be looked at with regard to mitigation and extenuating circumstances. From a liability standpoint, I don't want to see the wrong transportation being provided that we're not uniquely equipped to provide. Let me tell you what the problem is. We have a number of individuals that have learned how to game this system, and it's become very, very costly. And I don't know that we could have a carve-out for one or two individuals and not others. I don't really like when policy of, that one size fits all has to be imposed.
Right.
Let me take a look at what the options are. I did meet with Mr. King on Friday. I will tell you that it's not going to be life care. It's going to be my transit service, the board's transit service, that provides this service with some of our vans. And we'll be doing a contract with Job and Family Services to provide that service into Cleveland, because we can do it more cost-effectively than most can. But I wasn't made aware that there may be some unique challenges with a few of the riders. So let me take a look at that. Leave your information with the clerk.
Okay, and even when I take him to the CDC, the Amherst Children's Developmental Center, that's 5 miles. When I take him there, though, for speech, and that's something that my son needs to be calm for, he needs to be alert, even that 5-mile drive, I control him.
The problem with the program is that the federal government requires that we reimburse it over 50 cents a mile for this, for these reimbursements. And there's not a vehicle out there that if we were just reimbursing cost that needs 50 cents a mile, or 50, I think it's 53 and a half cents right
52.
now.
52.
So, that's part of the problem. I got to be honest with you. And we're just trying to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. The reimbursements have gone into the tens and tens of thousands of dollars. And
Per
as
person,
as
some of them.
Exactly. As the program exists right now, it cannot continue without significant modification. I have to find out if we're allowed to carve out for mitigating purposes.
Extenuating circumstances.
Right. So I don't want to suggest we can right now. I want to go back and look and have a conversation, look at the regulations to see where our leeway may be with regard to how we deal with individual needs of one person rather than just a whole group. But I can tell you that this is being looked at because of significant abuses and significant cost.
And that's
You're not
what
one
I
of
was
those people,
told,
so
right.
please do not think that I am insinuating that you are. But they give us very, very little latitude in how we effectuate these programs out in the community. So I'll take a look at it. We'll make sure we get back with you. I'm not going to promise you a decision that you're going to like, but I will promise you it'll get looked at.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your son's lucky to have you as a mom. I said your son's lucky to have you as a mom. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as we're done, we've got a little bit.
Did I make a motion already?
Yes.
You started to.
I started, okay.
Yes.
I make a motion that we go into executive session as outlined by the administrator and assistant county prosecutor.
Second?
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.